Most people think London is red buses, Big Ben, the King's Guard, and a very expensive pint. That picture is not wrong. It just describes about 0.3% of what London actually is. London set the world's clocks, wrote the rules of football, gave the internet away for free, buried its rivers, and built a railway before the American Civil War ended. That is not a tourist brochure. That is a city that built the modern world and then forgot to mention it. London is legally classified as a forest. A Roman temple built in 240 AD is currently inside a Bloomberg office building in the City of London. The Magna Carta, the document every democracy on earth traces its legal DNA to, was sealed 20 miles from here. London has over 300 languages spoken within its boundaries, more than any other city on earth. And the most visited museum on the planet charges nothing to walk through its doors. 47 facts are waiting. The London you think you know is not the one we are about to describe. London covers 1,572 square kilometers larger than Los Angeles, which covers 1,302. Over 8.9 million people live inside it, with another 2 million in the commuter belt beyond. Greater London is larger than the entire country of Bahrain. Size alone does not explain it. Density does. London spans 32 boroughs plus the City of London, which is technically a separate city entirely, with its own police force, its own Lord Mayor, its own electoral rules, and its own set of ancient privileges dating to William the Conqueror. There are two cities inside what most people call London. Most Londoners have never thought about that. The City of London, the square mile covers just 1.12 square miles. Roughly 9,000 people live there. Every weekday, 500,000 commuters flood in. By Friday evening, it empties completely. The most economically powerful square mile in Europe is a ghost town every weekend. London has more than 3,000 public parks, covering 33,000 acres, approximately 40% of Greater London's total surface area. More parkland per capita than any other megacity on Earth. London is not a city with parks. It is a park with a city built inside it. The line of 0 degrees longitude, the Prime Meridian, runs directly through Greenwich in southeast London. Every time zone on Earth is calculated relative to this point. Every Jeep's coordinate on the planet is anchored to a hill in London. The world's clocks are set here. London has over 20 rivers. Most of them are buried. The Fleet, the Tyburn, the Walbrook, the Effra, they still flow beneath the streets today, channeled through Victorian culverts under the pavements. You walk above them every day without knowing they are there. London is built on hidden water. The Port of London was the world's busiest port for over 3 centuries. At its Victorian peak, it handled more cargo than New York, Rotterdam, and Hamburg combined. The docks of East London financed railways across South America, canals in Egypt, and bridges in India. The global economy once passed through East London before breakfast. That is the shape of the city. What is underneath it is far older and far stranger. The Thames Valley London sits in was carved by glacial meltwater during the last ice age, approximately 10,000 years ago. The city is built on layers of gravel, sand, and clay, deposited by retreating glaciers. Every time engineers dig a new underground tunnel, they cut through the geological record of a vanished ice age. The London clay beneath the city was laid down 50 million years ago when London sat near the equator as a warm, shallow tropical sea. Fossilized sharks, giant sea turtles, and crocodilian remains have been recovered from underground excavations. The ground beneath the tube is the floor of a prehistoric ocean. London at 51 degrees north should be significantly colder than it is. Moscow sits at 55 degrees north and averages -9 degrees Celsius in January. London averages 5 degrees Celsius. The North Atlantic Drift carries warm Gulf water to Britain's western shores and keeps London functional year-round. The ocean current is not a weather bonus. It is the reason the city exists at this scale. London records approximately 1,600 sunshine hours per year, comparable to parts of southern Germany. The grey drizzle reputation is real, but heavily overstated. Manchester receives nearly double London's annual rainfall. London gets more sunshine per year than Edinburgh, Dublin, Amsterdam, and Brussels. The reputation arrived centuries before the measurements. The Great Stink of 1858 occurred when the Thames carrying raw sewage from 2 million people baked in summer heat until Parliament could not function. The smell forced legislators to act. The crisis produced Joseph Bazalgette's sewer network. 1,300 miles of tunnels completed between 1859 and 1875. The smell of a catastrophe built the infrastructure that still runs under London today. The Thames Barrier, completed in 1982, is the world's second largest movable flood barrier. Its 10 steel gates can each weigh 3,700 tons. It has been raised over 200 times since opening. Without it, a North Sea storm surge would flood the London Underground within hours. London exists inside an engineering decision made 40 years ago. London sits above one of Britain's largest chalk aquifers. Victorian engineers drilled artesian wells across the city to tap it. The water table is currently rising because modern buildings no longer pump from it. Parts of the Jubilee Line are at measurable risk of flooding from groundwater rising beneath the track. London's oldest geological layer is slowly pushing back up. The Great Plague of 1665 killed approximately 100,000 Londoners, 1/4 of the city's entire population in a single year. The city rebuilt. The population returned to pre-plague levels within a generation. London has faced catastrophic population loss 3 times in recorded history. It has outgrown every one of them. That is the physical city. The history built on top of it goes back further than most people expect. London was founded by the Romans in 43 AD as Londinium. Within 50 years, it was the largest city in Roman Britain, with a forum larger than Trafalgar Square and a defensive wall that still shapes the boundary of the city today. The street plan of Roman London is still visible in the modern map if you know where to look. Boudica, Queen of the Iceni, burned Londinium to the ground in 60 AD, less than 20 years after the Romans built it. Archaeologists have identified a layer of burned red clay across the entire original city, still present in foundation excavations. The ash layer of a 2,000-year-old fire is still physically there, directly below the pavement. The Tower of London has functioned continuously since 1066 as a fortress, a palace, a prison, a royal mint, a weapons store, a zoo, and an execution site. The last execution inside it was in 1941. A German spy shot by firing squad. Its yeoman warders still live inside the walls today. The oldest continuously occupied building in Britain is a medieval prison. Westminster Abbey has hosted every English and British coronation since 1066. Every single one, without exception. It contains the tombs of 17 monarchs. The greatest science and literature in the English language are buried 2 minutes from a tourist souvenir shop. The Magna Carta was sealed at Runnymede, 20 miles west of London, in 1215. 2 of the 4 surviving original copies are held in London today. Every democracy, every constitution, every Bill of Rights in the Western world traces its formal legal origin to a meadow near the Thames. That meadow is a 40-minute train journey from Waterloo. The Bank of England, founded in 1694 to fund a war against France, invented the concept of a national debt, a government borrowing against future tax revenue. Every national bank, from the US Federal Reserve to the European Central Bank, operates on systems the Bank of England designed. Modern financial architecture was invented in the City of London to pay for a war. London built the world's first underground railway in 1863, the Metropolitan Line from Paddington to Farringdon, powered by steam engines in underground tunnels. Passengers smoked inside carriages to mask the engine fumes. The London Underground is older than the unification of Germany, older than the unification of Italy, and older than the end of the American Civil War. The Great Fire of London in 1666 destroyed 13,200 houses, 87 churches, and most of the medieval city in 4 days. It started in a bakery on Pudding Lane. Fewer than 10 people died in the fire itself, but it killed the plague that had ravaged the city the previous year by burning out the rat population. A catastrophe accidentally ended an epidemic. During the Blitz from 1940 to 1941, London was bombed for 57 consecutive nights. Over 43,000 civilians were killed across the campaign. St. Paul's Cathedral survived the entire period partly by design, partly because 300 volunteer firefighters climbed onto the roof with hand pumps and fought the fires manually. The dome visible from across London today survived because people refused to let it fall. Sir Christopher Wren rebuilt 51 churches after the Great Fire, including St. Paul's Cathedral, completed in 1710. He is buried inside it. His epitaph, set into the floor directly beneath the dome, reads, "Si monumentum requiris, circumspice." If you seek his monument, look around you. That is not modesty, that is accuracy. The Houses of Parliament burned down in 1834 because the government was disposing of medieval tally sticks, the wooden accounting tools of the Treasury, by throwing them into furnaces beneath the House of Lords. The fire spread and destroyed the building. Parliament burned because of accountancy. The Gothic building standing today is less than 190 years old. Smithfield Market has operated as a meat market on the same site in central London since the 10th century. It is still functioning today. William Wallace was executed on the same ground in 1305. The market where Londoners buy meat every morning before dawn has been operating for over 1,000 years, on the same patch of earth where a national hero was killed. The Great Exhibition of 1851, held in Hyde Park, was the world's first international exposition. 6 million people attended in 5 months, when Britain's entire population was 21 million. The Crystal Palace that housed it, 563,000 square feet of prefabricated cast iron and glass, was designed by Joseph Paxton, a gardener. It was his first building. It was also the most visited building on Earth that year. The Black Death of 1,348 killed between a third and a half of London's population within 18 months. The labour shortage that followed forced landowners to compete for workers. Wages rose. Feudal obligations loosened. The plague that devastated London began the economic process that dismantled the feudal system. A pandemic reshaped the power structure of England. Newgate Prison operated in London from 1188 to 1902, 714 years on the same site. Public executions outside its gates drew crowds of tens of thousands. The Old Bailey, the central criminal court, now stands on the same ground. Britain's most famous criminal court was built on the most notorious prison in English history. The World Wide Web was designed by Tim Berners-Lee, born in southwest London while working at CERN in 1989. He proposed it, built it, and gave it away without a patent. Every website, every app, every streaming service, every social media platform, every online transaction in human history exists because a Londoner refused to charge for his invention. The Metropolitan Police, founded in 1829 by Robert Peel, was the first professional civilian police force in the world. Its structure, uniformed officers, fixed patrol beats, detective divisions, was copied by New York, Paris, Berlin, and eventually every major city on Earth. The way the world's police forces are organized was invented in London. The BBC, founded in London in 1927, was the world's first public broadcaster. Its world service now broadcasts in 42 languages to an estimated weekly audience of 364 million people. Every publicly funded, license fee-supported broadcaster on Earth, from Australia's ABC to Germany's ARD, is a descendant of a decision made in London in 1927. London Heathrow handles more international passenger journeys than any other airport on Earth, over 80 million per year, across 185 destinations and 90 airlines. It is not the world's busiest airport by total flights, it is the world's most connected international hub. More people leave for more of the world from Heathrow than from any other single point on the planet. The rules of association football, the sport played by an estimated 3.5 billion people globally, were written in 1863 at the Freemasons Tavern on Great Queen Street in Holborn by representatives of 12 London clubs. The sport that generates more money, more passion, and more global participation than any other, was formerly organised in a London pub. The London Stock Exchange, which traces its origins to a coffee shop in 1801, is the third largest in the world by market capitalisation. At its 19th century peak, it financed the Argentine railway network, the Suez Canal, and infrastructure across 3 continents. The financial scaffolding of the modern world was assembled in a coffee shop. The National Health Service, launched in 1948 and administered from London, made Britain the first country to offer free universal healthcare to every citizen, regardless of income. The model has been wholly or partially adopted by every developed nation. Free healthcare at the point of need for every person started here. London is the most visited city on Earth by international tourists, approximately 19 million per year. It generates over £15 billion annually in tourism revenue. More people choose London as their international destination than Paris, Dubai, Bangkok, or New York. The most visited city on Earth is not the biggest, not the oldest, not the sunniest. It is this one. The London Marathon, first run in 1981, has raised over £1 billion for charity since its founding, more than any other single-day sporting event on Earth. A 26.2-mile run through the streets of a city has generated more money for good causes than the Super Bowl, the World Cup final, and the Olympic Games combined. That is not sport. That is infrastructure. The Crossrail project, now the Elizabeth Line, is the largest infrastructure project in European history, costing £19 billion and taking 13 years to complete. It added 10% to London's total rail capacity in a single project. 10% of a network already carrying 1.4 billion journeys per year, that is 140 million additional trips, from one tunnel.